Volodymyr Oleksandrovych Zelenskyy, also transliterated as Zelensky or Zelensky, is a Ukrainian politician and former comedian and actor who has served as the sixth and current president of Ukraine since 2019. Born to a Ukrainian Jewish family, Zelensky grew up as a native Russian speaker in Kryvyi Rih, a major city of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast in central Ukraine. Prior to his acting career, he obtained a degree in law from the Kyiv National Economic University. He then pursued a career in comedy and created the production company Kvartal 95, which produced films, cartoons, and TV shows including the TV series Servant of the People, in which Zelensky played the role of the Ukrainian president. The series aired from 2015 to 2019 and was immensely popular. A political party bearing the same name as the television show was created in March 2018 by employees of Kvartal 95. Zelensky announced his candidacy in the 2019 Ukrainian presidential election on the evening of December 31, 2018, alongside the New Year's Eve address of then-President Petro Poroshenko on the TV channel 1+1. A political outsider, he had already become one of the frontrunners in opinion polls for the election. He won the election with 73.23% of the vote in the second round, defeating Poroshenko. He has positioned himself as an anti-establishment and anti-corruption figure. As president, Zelensky has been a proponent of e-government and of unity between the Ukrainian and Russian-speaking parts of the country's population. 1113 His communication style heavily uses social media, particularly Instagram. 710 His party won a landslide victory in the snap legislative election held shortly after his inauguration as president. During his administration, Zelensky oversaw the lifting of legal immunity for members of parliament, the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent economic recession, and some progress in tackling corruption in Ukraine. During his presidential campaign, Zelensky promised to end Ukraine's protracted conflict with Russia, and he has attempted to engage in dialogue with Russian President Vladimir Putin. His administration faced an escalation of tensions with Russia in 2021, culminating in the launch of the ongoing full-scale Russian invasion in February 2022. Zelensky's strategy during the Russian military buildup was to calm the Ukrainian populace and assure the international community that Ukraine was not seeking to retaliate. He initially distanced himself from warnings of an imminent war, while also calling for security guarantees and military support from NATO to withstand the threat. After the start of the invasion, Zelensky declared martial law across Ukraine and a general mobilization of the armed forces. His leadership during the crisis has won him widespread international praise, and he has been described as a symbol of the Ukrainian resistance. Social polls have ranked Zelensky Ukraine's greatest president. Early life and career. Olena Zelenska was born in Kryvyi Rih on February 6, 1978. Her mother was the head engineer of a factory and her father taught construction at a technical university. Zelenska studied architecture at Kryvyi Rih National University. In 2003, she became a scriptwriter for Kvartal 95, working as part of a team drafting comedy sketches that her future husband and other cast members would perform. First Lady of Ukraine. On May 20, 2019, Zelenska became the First Lady of Ukraine. On November 18, she appeared on the cover of the December issue of the Ukrainian edition of Vogue. In an interview with the magazine, she spoke about her first initiative, nutrition reform in Ukrainian schools. At Zelenska's initiative, the reform of the school nutrition system started with a new school menu developed by chef Evgen Klopotenko of Cult Food. The reform is a complex program, from improving the quality, nutrition of food, and food safety to the provision of resources to schools. The updated school menu has 160 items, it includes both traditional Ukrainian dishes and popular dishes from different cuisines of the world. The Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine approved new food standards, which took effect on September 1, 2021. In December 2019, during a speech at the Third Ukrainian Women's Congress, Zelenska initiated Ukraine's accession to the G7 International Initiative on Gender Equality, the Biarritz Partnership, which was finalized in September 2020. In November 2020 and September 2021, Zelenska spoke at the 4th and 5th Ukrainian Women's Congresses, a platform that brings together Ukrainian and international public figures, politicians, government officials, experts, and opinion leaders for equal rights for women and men. On January 13, 2020, Volodymyr Zelenskyy included Olena on the board of the Art Arsenal, headed by Minister of Culture Volodymyr Oleksandrovych. In June 2020, Zelenskiy started an initiative to spread the Ukrainian language in the world and the introduction of Ukrainian language audio guides in the most iconic places, particularly in the largest museums in the world. As part of the initiative, 11 audio guides in Ukrainian were launched in 2020 in museums in Azerbaijan, Austria, Italy, Latvia, Turkey, and Montenegro, as well as in 2 bus routes of Lithuania. In 2021, as part of Zelenskyy's initiative, Ukrainian language audio guides were launched at the Museum of Mount Vernon, the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco in California, Versailles, the Sagrada Familia, Frederiksborg Castle, the Hundertwasserhaus, Galata Tower, and the Museum of Anatolian Civilizations. Zelenskiy launched an online questionnaire in May 2020 about creating a barrier-free society, in partnership with the Ministry of Digital Transformation and the Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine. In December 2020, the Ministry of Digital Transformation and United Nations Development Programme in Ukraine said that they would create a convenient catalogue of services for vulnerable groups as part of Zelenskyy's Without Barriers initiative, to be posted on the state portal Action in the category Action. Without Barriers. Zelenskiy initiated the Kyiv Summit of First Ladies and Gentlemen in August 2021, with the theme of Soft Power in New Reality. After the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, Zelenskiy was described as Russia's target number 2. In mid-March, she was in Ukraine at an undisclosed location. She released a statement highlighting the names of children killed during the invasion. During the war, her efforts have focused on humanitarian aid, especially the evacuation of children with disabilities through Poland and the importing of incubators to hospitals in war-zone areas. Zelenskiy made her first public appearance since the start of the invasion in a May 8, 2022 meeting with Jill Biden in Uzhhorod. Biden's trip to Ukraine, which coincided with Mother's Day as celebrated in the US and in Ukraine, was not publicly disclosed in advance. In September 2022, Zelenskiy was present as an invitee to Ursula von der Leyen's Third State of the European Union address, where the EU Commission President rendered homage to her courage during the war in Ukraine. 2022 visit to the United States. On July 19, 2022, Zelenskiy started her visit to the United States. On the first day of the visit, Zelenskiy met with the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and Samantha Power, the administrator of the United States Agency for International Development. On the second day of the visit, she held a meeting with the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, at the White House. Zelenskiy was also met on the porch of the White House by U.S. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. During the event, the National Program of Mental Health and Psychosocial Support, the implementation of which started in Ukraine, was discussed. Zelenskiy also addressed the U.S. Congress on the second day of her visit, becoming the first First Lady of another country to speak before the U.S. Congress. She called for more military aid to the Ukrainian armed forces to protect the country from Russian invasion. Zelenskiy dedicated the beginning of her speech to the families and children impacted by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. One of the images included was of a 4-year-old Liza Dmitrieva, who was killed in an airstrike in the central western city of Vinnytsia. Zelenskiy also showed photos and videos of the victims of the Kremenkuk shopping mall attack and other numerous victims of Russian invasion. I appeal to all of you on the behalf of those who were killed, on behalf of those people who lost their arms and legs, on behalf of those who are still alive and well and those who wait for their families to come back from the front. I'm asking for something now I would never want to ask. I am asking for weapons. Weapons that would not be used to wage a war on somebody else's land, but to protect one's home and the right to wake up alive in that home. During the trip, Zelenskiy also accepted the Dissident Human Rights Award at the Victims of Communism Memorial in Washington, D.C. on behalf of the entire Ukrainian people. Funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. On September 19, 2022, Zelenskiy attended the state funeral in London of Queen Elizabeth II to pay her respects to the late monarch on behalf of all Ukrainians. Personal life. Zelenskiy and her future husband were schoolmates, though they did not know each other at that time. They became acquainted much later during their time at university. The relationship between the couple developed gradually. They dated for 8 years before getting married on September 6, 2003. On July 15, 2004, their daughter Alexandra was born. On January 21, 2013, Kyryshko gave birth to their son Kyrilo. Although Volodymyr Zelenskyy is a secular Jew, his 2 children with his Gentile wife have been baptized, according to press reports. The family lives in Kyiv. Zelenskiy was hospitalized for observation on June 16, 2020 after testing positive for COVID-19. The infection was described as moderate severity that did not need mechanical ventilation. She was discharged from the hospital on July 3, 2020 with continued domestic treatment for bilateral pneumonia.